Hey guys, welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I'm Indieauthor Jill, and I read and review indie author or self-published books. And today we're looking at Russell Carroll's Relentless Blades. And I don't know if you can see it, but we're stacked up onto some boxes that we got from Amazon and other places. So the books have started to come in. I've got another, today is actually Monday, the 13th, yeah, but you'll be seeing this on Saturday the 18th. So by the time you see this, I will have gotten 3 more deliveries because I'm getting one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, and one on Friday, and then the rest are coming sometime next week between the 17th and the 21st. But let's go ahead and get right into it. The Relentless Blades is based on it's kind of based on Dungeons and Dragons type stories. You've got Viglanton, this guy here, and then you've got this Scrawn, that's the name of his race. He's half Scrawn, half human, and his name is Grimlock. And Grimlock ends up getting, he's a ranger, and he gets taken on this trip to, they ask him to guide him to these caverns, and he's like, there's nothing in the Sulphur Canyons. And they're like, we want to go anyway, we'll pay you big money. And he's like, fine, 4 days to take you to a place that has nothing and then come back? Sure, I can take the money for an easy enough job. And he finds out that it's not as easy as he thought, because what they're looking for is dragon eggs, and they find them. And so when he gets back to town, he goes straight to, he parts ways with the Bragroths, who are trying to resurrect dragons into the world, and gets back into town. By the time he gets back to town, he finds out that some Valadian knights have escorted a Farashar, which is an angel-looking creature, to Oxglenn, his home. And there, because he wanted to look at some relics that were found. And the relics that were found included a scepter. And the Farashar, after reading through the text, realizes that the scepter is used to resurrect dragons. By the time that Grimlock gets back to town, back to Oxglenn, where he and Viglanton both live, he finds out that the scepter has been stolen. And so they go to the constable, and they're trying to explain to the constable what happened. And Viglanton happened to be in the consulate's at the consulate when the theft happened, because his brother Matthias is one of the Valadian knights, and he's there to, he wants to go and see his brother. So he goes to the consulate because he knows that's where his brother is, and he actually sees the thieving happen, which is actually the reason he goes to the consulate, is because he realizes, my brother is in there and he's going to need some backup. And also Viglanton is very fond of fighting, so he's up for the challenge. And so when everything, all the dust settles and the scepter goes missing, the first thing they do is question Viglanton, because he was on scene when the scepter went missing, and he's like, no, I didn't take the scepter. The Vagroths did. They had hobgoblins and goblins with them. They're gonna resurrect dragons. And they're like, yeah, that's probably not the case. And by the time, while he's trying to explain to them, no, that is absolutely the case, I'm not making up fairy tales, that's when Grimlock comes in and says, he's telling the truth, I saw the eggs myself. So the problem is that some people in this world, like knights, they can't just go on a quest by themselves. They have to have an envoy or a king or a chief or somebody. They have to have orders to go on a mission. And so they can't necessarily just go off, because if they do, they run the risk of being expelled from the knighthood. And one of the knights decides, screw it, I'm going. And so the consulate, whose job is to protect the town, he has the authority to say, I'm going. And two of his people say, we're going to. And he's like, fine. Because he can give them the authority to go or stay. And he gives them the okay to join them. Viglanton and Grimlock are both like, well, we're free agents as well, so we're gonna go. And so you've got this intrepid team of 6 chasing down a group that outnumbers them 3-1. And so they're like, yeah, that's 3-1. Love those odds. Let's go. And they're very overconfident, as you can imagine. But they go after them, and along the way they end up, their numbers get cut in half on both sides. And they end up in Grimlock's home country or home nation or home whatever with his tribe, and they're escorted by his older brother, who does not like him, and that's fine with Grim because he doesn't like him either. These brothers hate each other and are looking forward to getting into an arena to kill each other. And if that ain't sibling rivalry, let me tell you. I do love getting to know Grimlock's family, because you have his dad, who is very intolerant of disobedience and weakness, and he sees the human values of loyalty and sympathy towards one another as being weaknesses. And he's very much you look after number one and don't count on others to help you. You know, you live and die by your own choices and don't expect anybody else to get their hands dirty for your sake. And so his favorite child is, or his favorite son is, whichever one is the strongest, whichever one is the best fighter. And at the moment it's Grim's oldest brother, because unlike Grim, he is a full-blooded Scrawn, and he is also a ride or die for the tribe, whereas Grim left the tribe and went to live with humans. And so his father considers him a disgrace and a coward and weak, and he has pretty much washed his hands of him. And Viglanton kind of commiserates with him about this, because he has the same issue. His older brother also, like, as much as Vig is always willing to help his older brother, but his older brother was really rough with him too. And he's like, you know, you made a mistake and you ran instead of standing like a man for your and taking your punishment. But Matthias doesn't understand the situation in which he doesn't understand why Viglanton ran away. That he honestly felt like he didn't have the choice to run away. I feel like I'm on a hill or something here. What's going on? Got stuck in a divot in my carpet, apparently. But anyway, so Matthias, it turns out that there is a reason that Viglanton ran away from home, that he left his family, and it wasn't because he wanted to, it's because he felt like he had no choice and he was doing the right thing by his family. And so you have these two men who are of different races, and they don't always see eye to eye, but then they realize they have a lot in common, because both of them have an older brother who thinks them a disappointment and a coward. They have fathers who have pretty much washed their hands of them, and then they have younger brothers who don't understand why they left, but they still love them. And so when you get to meet Grimlock's family, it's very much like what you would find in a lot of families. My mom always said that if you listen to me and my brothers talk, you'd swear the four of us were raised in 4 different houses with 4 different sets of parents. Because our experiences were so vastly different, our perspective was so vastly different that none of us we all tell the same story, but there's so many different variations in those stories that you can't really tell which one is telling the true version and which one's not telling the true version. And it's just the versions we're telling are what we perceived as was the truth. And we can't be swayed. Trust me, I've tried. I cannot. I know my experiences, and I'm convinced that my experiences were real, and that what I saw and what I heard were correct. But then my brothers will say, "No, that didn't actually happen." And I was like, or I'll have another brother say, "Well, that happened, but it didn't happen just that way. It happened this way." And so when you have these differing things, it's like, well, something happened, Like there's a story of one of my brothers came home and he crashed his bike. And the way he and his twin and myself tell that story of what happened when he got home is very different. For me, I am convinced that there was yelling and screaming. They're convinced that the screaming and happening, the one is convinced that there was no screaming, there was no yelling, and the other one was like, well, there wasn't screaming or yelling, but there were raised voices because we were across the house from each other. And I was like, it didn't sound like, hey, while you're in there type situation. It's like, what the, But none of us can agree on exactly what had happened. All we can agree on is that he wrecked his bike. Mom and him had a talk about what happened and how to avoid that mistake in the future. And we all went to bed. That's the things we can agree on, is that the players in the game were, one brother got hurt, me and my two brothers were home with Mom, Dad was out somewhere. That's the only thing we can agree on, is that Mom, the two brothers, and myself were in the house, and that a conversation took place after the bike accident. But, kids do stupid things. Like, it's gonna happen. So, yeah, he made a mistake, but unlike Vig and Grimm, he wasn't disowned. It was just like, that was kind of stupid. Yep. Not doing that again, huh? Nope. Okay. And it may have been that my mom's initial reaction when she saw him, because like I said, he wasn't terribly injured. It was just he face planted, and there was a lot of blood in his mouth because of where he face planted, and it was like, what happened to you? Oh, yeah, that was stupid, wasn't it? Yeah, not doing that again, are you? No. And that may have been what happened, but I just remember there being definitely some raised voices, and not a harmonious, like they describe it as being so much more calm than I remember it. I remember it being absolutely chaos, which makes sense because, again, your kid comes home all of a sudden and he's bleeding from the mouth, and like, of course there's going to be chaos. You're like trying to find out what happened and everything, but in this case, nobody is really worried about what happened. They don't care why Vig's dad doesn't care why he made a mistake. His Grimlock's dad doesn't care why he made the mistake. There's no conversation about, hey, was that a stupid mistake? Are you standing by that mistake? What happened? Explain it to me. It was just, you made a mistake, you screwed up, and I wash my hands of you. No second chances, no giving it a second go. No explanation, no defense, just out. But they find a kind of a brotherhood with each other because, like I said, they kind of have that similarity of their dad disowned them, their brother is disgusted with them, their older brother is disgusted with them, they have a younger brother that loves them, and doesn't really care why they did what they did. They're just happy that their brother is alive. And and then you got another brother that is like, I'm mad at you. I love you, but I'm mad at you for leaving me, and I don't, like, you left me here to deal with our father, and you didn't try to find me. And, like, in his mind, no, you didn't try to find me. You didn't try to come back. You didn't try to get me out of this. And Grimm's like, no, I did try. And he's like, okay, well, trying isn't the same as succeeding, So he's got one brother that absolutely loves the attention that his father is giving him. Yes, I'm the favorite son. I'm the chosen son. You're just a weak disappointment, and father hates you. You got the other brother that is like, hey, I trusted you and you betrayed me, and I'm hurt by that. And then you got the younger brother that's like, I don't care what you did. I don't care why you did it. You're my brother and I love you. And just don't make me choose between you and the tribe, and we're good. And then you have his two twin sisters who couldn't care less about anything that's going on. They just want to be entertained. They're pampered princesses. They have no idea what their brothers are going through, because they're in a gender-locked society where men are expected to fight, protect, and take on certain responsibilities. The women, they're supposed to have babies. That's all they're supposed to do. So the girls are not yet of age to take mates and have babies, but they're still not like little children. So they're doted on, and they're like young adults, like late teenager, young adult type girls. They're like, I think he said it was 12 years since he last saw them, and they were 5. And so 12, yeah, they're like 17, 18 years old. So they're just coming into their they're just getting ready to enter their childbearing years. And right now they're just enjoying being teenagers, and they're just like, Daddy, make our brothers fight, so go into the arena and fight so we can be entertained. We're bored, and they don't care. Like, for them, it's just all entertainment, and they really don't understand the pressures bestowed upon their brothers of, I have to be stronger, I have to be faster, I have to be better than everybody else to get Daddy's approval. And 2 of the sons, the oldest son and the middle son, the son that is just younger than Grimlock, is definitely after Dad's approval. And Grimlock has grown past that to where, I know what kind of a person my father is, and I'm never going to get his approval unless I become something that I don't want to be, and I am not that kind of person, so I'm not going to be that. And so he doesn't care about his father's approval. And then the youngest one doesn't really care about Dad's approval, but he is very concerned about the well-being of his tribe. And so, and in his mind, it doesn't matter that Grimlock has abandoned the tribe. He's still his brother. He's still his tribe mate. And as long as he doesn't have to choose between the tribe and Grimlock, everything's cool. And if he has to choose, then he's going to choose the tribe. And he lets Grimlock know that. He's like, look, you're my brother, and I love you. But if you take up arms against the tribe, I will strike you down. And Grimlock's, hey, that's understandable. And they part well. And when he's in his father's kingdom, he meets 4 other, slaves that have been forced to fight. And it's always a fight to the death. It's never a fight to win. It's just a fight to the death, period. Kill or be killed. It's as simple as that. And the 4 best fighters in the enslavement camp, they end up rescuing them and taking them on their journey to help fight this team. And they're like, look, we don't know if you're telling the truth about these dragons or not, but we do know that we don't want to be here anymore, and we would rather die out there fighting anything than in here fighting. Like, we're going to die one way or the other, right? So let's at least die with honor. And so they willingly join them to go chase down these dragon eggs, and they find out that, oh no, they're telling the truth. There are dragon eggs. They are trying to resurrect dragons. That's not good. And so you have this, like Grimlock calls them, a ragtag team of intrepid adventurers that are just trying to keep dragons from coming back into the world. And they have a good repertoire between them, and it's nice to see the character arc between the Grimlock's character arc and Viglanton's character arc, and how they deal with the disappointment. One of them chooses a different path. They choose two different paths, even though they have the same situation of, my father thinks I'm a failure, my father thinks I'm a disgrace, my family doesn't love me, and I'm completely alone in this world. And then they both end up living in Oxglenn, and they take two different paths, where Grimlock is trying to prove that he's trying to prove his father kind of wrong, that, you know, the humans aren't the weaker race, and they're good people, and I can find my place here. And Viglanton is pretty much, well, my family thinks I'm a failure, so why should I try to be anything else? And he becomes a rogue and becomes an enforcer for a crime boss. But as they're trying to stop these dragons from being repopulated, they realize that it doesn't matter what their fathers think of them, and they shouldn't let that decide what kind of a person they are. They get to choose. And they find they both basically lose their older brother because of their brother's sentiment towards them. But they lose their older brother. Each of them loses their older brother in one way or another, to the point where they're like, we no longer have... We've both lost a brother. And they find a new brother in each other. And Grimlock starts kind of considering Viglanton, like, this is my family. You know, we don't look alike. I mean, can you see the family resemblance there? You know? But he's like, no, we don't look alike, but we act alike. We're cut from the same cloth, basically. We're both good, honorable men. And it doesn't matter what anybody thinks of us, and we won't let what people think of us define us. This does have a series. There is a second book, Ashbound Oaths, and what I like about this is it doesn't end on that massive cliffhanger that is so annoying to a lot of people, including me, where it's like, seriously, you like ended the book basically in the middle of the story. Why did you do that? It has a very satisfying end, and it does leave it open for the sequel. So you know that another book is most likely down the pike, but if it's not, you're okay with that. It would be perfectly fine if this was the only book. But as usual, I will link the this book and its sequel, Ashbound Oaths, in the comments below. And I will, once I get the rest of the books in, I will work it out with my niece Katrina and my granddaughter Dragon Rider, figure out when we can get them together for a live stream unboxing, because they both want to be a part of that. No, Dragon Rider is not her actual name. It's her online code name, because she's only 12, and so I don't want to have her actual given name out there. And her mother has given permission to let her be on here on the channel. So if we can get it worked out, then we will get them both over here to figure out when we can do a live stream, and I'll let you guys know that date when it gets closer. If nothing else, I definitely want to have one of them. If I can get both of them, I would rather have both of them, because it would make trying to keep track of everything a lot easier. Because while we're unboxing, somebody's got to monitor the comments, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to, and somebody else... it would be nice to have somebody else checking off the list of, okay, did we get this book, did we get that book? So it would be helpful to have both of them here. But if I can only get one, then I will only get one. We'll see where it goes. But I'll give you more information when that comes out. And until next time, that's all I've got for you. So I'll see you later. Bye.